Okay, so this week is cut short a little bit. I have a problem with my arm. I'm trying to rest it up. Um, but I did in the beginning of the week get some stuff in. I did some designing for some of the screens and put in the framework for them. So this is kind of the mock-up of the talent screen. So there'd be the three different subclasses for each class that you can choose. Once you choose one of those, you're locked in after you put in some talent points. So kind of similar to how like World of Warcraft used to have the talents. So at level 0, you'd have this talent row, then put stuff in there. And every point, maybe one of them would have like a couple different levels. So like this one would be 5 out of 5, and then once you get to 5, then you can go down to this one, and if you're level 15, so on and so forth. Uh, and then so it's just the squares with the buttons. Whenever you click on one, this little window pops up with what it is and what it does. And then what rank you are and all that information would be added in there. So that's so there's these three buttons here. Then gotta go through everything. I probably should have this ready. So clicking on one of those buttons would pop up all of these buttons. These are all the talent buttons. I may or may not add some more. But the idea is that so this will all the buttons will always be there, and then depending on which class slash subclass you choose, different buttons will just be inactive. So you'll have a different tree structure depending on which class you are. So that's those. That's the talent. Then crafting. So this is kind of the idea I came up with for crafting, kind of like Diablo 3, the way they have their crafting system. So you have the kind of like um, plus minus things here. I'm not sure what to call it. Drop down things or collapsing list things. Whenever you go into one of these things, so this would be like armor, weapons, certain types of swords, whatever. And then all of the types of things that you can make in that category. Clicking on any of them would bring over all the information over here, what you need to make it, and then you create it, and then you have the item. In game, there's not much to look at for this one. It's just the starting stuff of everything. Uh, Then the deconstruction. So when you're breaking down items to get some materials out of them. So if you have like 3 of a certain axe and you only want one, you can break them down and get a couple of materials. So it just lists everything that you have. There's just be a little scroll bar here that you can go through everything. I'll probably break it down in the same way as the other in the crafting, where there's plus minus things to go through everything. And then selecting one would just put the little thumbnail here, and then you can break it down. And then when you do that, it would bring up something like this that brings up a little window that says what you got from breaking it down. I think I put that, yeah, that's all in. So, same thing. So this is what you would see when you break it down. And obviously this is all placeholder stuff. Let's do it safely. Okay, and then we've got, oh, so this is the consumable items. So I'm not totally sure how I want to do, but I'm gonna kind of just have all of the consumables and the materials just sort of in one thing. I was planning on having them in separate stuff, but I think it might just be faster to have everything all laid out in one area. Then probably just have it so that it lays out usable things on top and then materials at the bottom so you can just scroll through the list of stuff. The idea I wanted to have is that, like, it's probably easier to just do what I said, but the idea I was thinking of is having a something that makes it obvious it's usable. Like I put the U here, or usable items, but then it puts everything over here, what it does, what the description is, and then you can just use the items from the menu. And there's nothing to really look at for that one either. It's just the framework in the game. And then the last is the stat screen. So I wanted to do something kind of like Super Metroid, um, where in the like inventory screen it had your like a wireframe of Samus, and then like little lines off to the side of what each thing was. So it'll have like each piece of equipment that you have equipped at the moment, tell you if the set bonus is active or not, and then what your set bonus does below that. And then over here is more of the numbers side. This is all fancy looking. I don't know if it ends up working the way I want it to. The idea behind this wheel here is the stats. Whenever you, like, if I clicked on the vigor here, it would spin the wheel in this direction until vigor was right here, and then vigor would just be at the top. So any of the stats that you choose, it spins the wheel until they're at the top. Once I actually put that in, I'll see how effective it is. It might look weird and probably won't spin fast enough for it to be effective, but I think it's a neat little effect. Instead of just having a list. So there's talents, and then yeah, this is just what I've got. So lots of this is going to be almost entirely like adding in some image stuff, but this will be the wheel and all of the health and information and stuff. So yeah, I've got all the pieces, the UI pieces in. I just have to put the logic in for everything. Hopefully I'll be back to work next week, but I want to try and rest my arm until it's not hurting anymore before I start up again. Yeah, so as soon as that is, I'll have another video.